Afternoon, guys. Um, been a few days. This weekend was crazy. Um, Yesterday, busy as heck with work and everything, so I got home super late and I wasn't able to do anything to do any reading. And with the weekend, I was also swamped, so again, I was really, really busy. But I wanted to get back to this, wanted to get back to just reading The Constant Rabbit by Jasper Fforde. Um, this will be chapter 7, I believe. Pippa and Pasta is the name of the chapter. Um, Last chapter you should be able to find in the description link down below, as well as the rest of the playlist for all the other chapters. If you want to go back and listen to them, by all means, you are under no obligation to. Again, this is for me. I'm wanting to just read this because I feel like setting this as a goal for myself to be like, okay, I gotta upload these, I gotta record it, I gotta do all this and this. It kind of gives me more things to do, um, and just keeps me busy. So I wanted to just let y'all know that I'm still here and that I'm gonna make sure that it's more consistent. But with that being said, let's get right onto things with Pippa and Pasta. I don't know how many pages this is. Let me see. I'm gonna check how many pages because I was another short chapter. Fantastic. All right, here we go. Pippa and Pasta. Again, I am only with the dialogue. It will be in accents because it's written by, a man from Wales, I believe. I believe Mr. Ford is from Wales, or he lives in Wales. So this takes place in the UK. So I will be speaking whenever they have a dialogue as someone with a UK accent, a very bad one. But when it comes to actually reading everything else that's not the dialogue, it's just gonna be in my normal voice as you hear now. So Pippa and Pasta. Rabbit Underground was the broad term used to describe any clandestine rabbit direct action protest group. Many suggested it might not actually exist at all and simply be an invention by the Minister for Rabbit Affairs to further demonize the rabbit and to justify extra funding for the task force. Is it the self same rabbit who was so disrespectful to dear wifey in the library? Asked Victor Malay when I found him handing out poorly photocopied leaflets in the public bar of the Unicorn. It looks like it. I told you she looked like trouble. We should regard that library book she borrowed as stolen, and that clearly shows a pattern of criminal behavior that we can only ignore at our peril. I thought you said she was just passing through. I thought she was. Major Rabbit served with the British Army, I added, in order to win Victor over, as I knew he was a supporter of the forces, but had not served himself. They both strike me as decent people. Obviously, we are grateful for his committed service in defense of our nation, said Mr. Malay. And yes, they might be individually good neighbors, and in time make a positive contribution to the community. They are always the good ones, but you're missing the big picture. Once you let single family in, then the downward spiral begins. Other rabbits of less scrupulous morals move in, and following them the criminal element. Criminal element? I asked. Like what? Well, he said, stealing library books for one. But make no mistake, he added with renewed enthusiasm, this is the thin end of the wedge. Let one family in, and pretty soon they'll all be here, filling up the schools, attempting to convert us all to their uniquely aggressive form of veganism, undermining our worthy and utterly logical religion with a depraved and nonsensical faith, and then placing an intolerable burden on our already weakened infrastructure. Also, he added as an afterthought, it could negatively impact on our chance to win a spick and span award. And once they've established themselves, added Norman Malay, who had been sitting at the bar and up until now had remained silent, their friends and relatives start to swarm in. Pretty soon you won't be able to move in Milk Hemlock for rabbits. House prices will tumble and we'll be strangers in our own community. It will be like Ross on Wye all over again. Ah, said Victor. Aye, said Victor, shaking his head. A plague. Are you thinking of raising a petition? I asked, fully aware of Mr. Malay's usual modus operandi. Already started one, he replied cheerfully, waving one of the flyers at me, which screamed of a potential disaster of massive proportions in the village. As a member of the Rabbit Compliance Task... sorry. As a member of the Rabbit Compliance Task Force, I said, trying to de-escalate the situation, I should point out that legal off-colony rabbits have a right to live anywhere, and we could be making a whole heap of trouble for ourselves if we break the law. Harassing the widow of someone who was jugged in error by Two Legs Good isn't going to play well if the newspapers get hold of it. I fully appreciate what you're saying, Peter, he said, which was Malay shorthand for, I would utterly reject what you're saying if I were listening, which I'm not. And all I want to do is raise awareness, which was again Mr. Malay's shorthand for, I think I'll stir up a whole heap of trouble and hope that in the ensuing scrum I'll get what I want, but not be held accountable for it. He went on, we must remain utterly vigilant at all times, and I'll be honest, Peter. I didn't have you pegged as a friend of rabbits. I'm not, I said. I just want to caution you against any extreme behavior that might not reflect well upon the village. But the good news, said Norman, also not listening, is that Mega Warren is on schedule and will give rabbits what they need, most of all, a place of their own. With a bit of luck, all the legals will want to go there too, Rabbit Nirvana. I heard someone call it sorry, want to go there too, Rabbit Nirvana, I heard someone call it. Freedom to burrow and grow lettuce and do whatever it is rabbits like to do. I think you'll find that rehoming them all in Wales is the best and most lasting solution to the rabbit issue. Besides, it was all agreed by referendum, then properly debated in the House. The nation was spoken. Mega Warren had always been controversial, but after the referendum, never in doubt. Even though the rehoming rabbits in Wales policy was won on a slender majority and with half the country not voting at all. But Norman was right. The 2,000-acre site located just to the west of Ryader, Ryaywader, was nearing completion, although moving the regional colonies to one centralized home was decidedly not something that rabbits much liked the sound of, especially those with a grounding in human history, which generally presented a low to extremely low expectation of anything turning out well where enforced rules were concerned. But said Victor, returning to the question of Hemlock Towers, we have one thing in our favor. The old beaten place is only to be rented. If they move in, they can't just as easily move out. Can I rely on your support to not support them? You'll be living next door after all. I'll take a leaflet, I said diplomatically, but I have to remain neutral due to my work at Rapcot. Stout fellow. Give my very best to Pip, won't you? I shall. Pippa was at the kitchen table when I got home and had her nose in a book while at the same time eating yogurt, texting someone, probably Sally, and keeping a watchful eye on a Netflix series on her iPad. When I was 20, I had trouble doing one thing at a time. I still do. Hey, Dad, she said. How's it going? I asked. I'm learning HR jargon and I can't decide which phrase I dislike more. Game changer, onboarding, or going forward. Blue sky thinking was always the one I disliked most. It became too cliched even for management to speak, she replied. Along with thinking out of the box, and we need a paradigm shift. They were all officially retired last year. How was your day? Usual fun and games. But more importantly, rabbits are moving in next door. I heard something about that, said Pippa. But if I was a rabbit family moving anywhere, it wouldn't be to the sort of village that sent troops to fight in the Spanish Civil War on General Franco's side. The village is not that bad, I said, and I think mostly it's just bluster. How many residents do you suppose have even spoken to a rabbit who wasn't a barista, room cleaner, or shelf stacker? Prejudice is best lubricated with ignorance, said Pippa. What do you think the bigot-in-chief is going to say about it? I placed Mr. Malay's leaflet in front of her, then stared out of the window at Hemlock Towers opposite. I think he's going to whip up some anti-rabbit feeling and make life so unbearable they'll move out. I dislike his politics, but I can't fault him on his use of the semicolon, said Pippa, scanning the pamphlet. It's a good job he really travels farther than Hereford. Containment is the best policy for people like him. Yes, I said. It also works wonders with Ebola. Did you hear anything else about the rabbits? Mrs. Griswold's intel was pretty sketchy. Mr. Rabbit is a retired army major, and Mrs. Rabbit is an actress, said Pippa. Really? Was she in anything I might have seen? I don't know. Commercials, someone said. A small part in Pulp Fiction, but she didn't make it to the final cut. That's interesting, I said, as I knew Connie had been keen on drama. She'd done a cracking audition as Shelley Levine in Barnstaple Uni's production of Glengarry Glen Ross, but was rejected as the director wanted someone more male and less furry. And Major Rabbit, is it? I added. Yep, almost solved, almost served in Afghanistan, they say. And that's it. Next chapter will be the name of it will be Next Sunday Next Door. I had a lot of mess ups there on the pronunciation and a lot of slip ups. I've been out of practice. Sorry about that. But yeah, like I said, it was a short chapter. I'm gonna get back to it tomorrow. Today, just as a reminder, it is December 17th, 2024. It's about almost 12:51 p.m. Again, I'll get back into it. I'll make sure the voices and the pronunciation is a bit better. Again, I'm reading this for the first time along with you guys, so if my brain works faster than my mouth, or my mouth works faster than my brain sometimes, so I speak before my brain has time to process what I look at. Anyways, so yeah, thank you all. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do, or just do whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. Thank you all for taking that time. Again, this is The Constant Rabbit by Jasper Fforde. Next chapter will be next door next Sunday, I think it was. But yeah, that'll be tomorrow, and I'll be posting this up soon. All right, thank you guys.